So what's going on, guys? It's your boy Nistro here, and we're back. And so many people commented on my getting started with Odion video, like, man, have you heard of this card called Statue of Anguish? Like, of course I fucking heard of it. I knew about the card. Like, I play trap monster decks, or I've been theory crafting them for a long time. I knew just about every trap monster that existed. I just thought Azurin would be a safer option to just put in the video, not realizing that Anguish Pattern is the more broken card because no one's ever fucking played this card. Centurion had the chance to play this card and they didn't, because this works in Centurion and they didn't, right? Fucking Silhouette Rabbit makes this card pretty good, and it works in the Odion engine because, you know, you're summoning so many trap monsters and you're doing a lot with them, so it really helps. It does have some like awkward sequence timings, like when should you activate it during the opponent's turn, but I was well aware that Anguish Pattern was a card, I just wasn't fully aware of its game, right? Now, something that threw me completely out of left field, because I basically, if you're looking at this list and you watch my previous video, this looks, I don't want to say it looks nothing like my old list, but it looks very different, because what's this doing here? And the answer is that, like, any hand trap equals one of your starters. That's why Small World is here. So Valor, Nib, and then, yeah, Valor gets to Nib, and Nib gets to Anubis because they both have 3,000 attack. Ash, Valor, because it has 0 attack. Oh, well, yeah, because they both have 0 attack, and then Valor into Man because they're both spellcasters. Rulia into Nib because they both have 600 defense, and Nib into Anubis because they both have 3,000 attack, and Nib being light into Valor being light, and then Valor into Man because they're both spellcaster and they share no other qualities. Yeah, they're not even the same level. So yeah, Small World actually works wonders in this deck, and you could have, and the guy who topped was only playing Perulia because Perulia is pretty good, especially into Ryzeal. But I did also want to play Fulos in the deck, still considering whether Fulos is the better hand trap to play, because I don't just want to be good against one deck, right? Or I don't want to overcommit to playing into one deck, but yeah. Now, what really threw me off guard was this fucking Lord of the Heavenly Prison. It was like, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that? You know, I felt like Mr. Boss looking at the fucking Frowning Friends. It's like, fuck, man. And yeah, it's just a really good line, and you still get into Silhouette, and it gets you everything you need. And because of Temple, you don't have to use its effects in the same turn. You can use its effect during the opponent's turn and still get the activation of that trap card. So now you get to play just more trap cards that do things. Now you don't have to commit an arm and a leg to beating Malice. Now you just have Imperial Iron Wall, which you could still play the Lancias if you want to beat Malice going first, but because we're not a like front heavy deck, I don't know how well Malice does into back row decks. Like now I'm thinking about it, like, do they really do well into a deck that plays nothing but back row? I'm not sure. Like, I've never thought about that question. And the reason why I'm not playing Artifact Sanct is because Sanct is vulnerable to Ash Blossom, essentially. So by going straight into Iron Wall, nobody's playing fucking, like, the only removal card they'd probably have in their list is either Nightmare Phoenix or SP, and SP can't do anything about Iron Wall, so they have to Nightmare Phoenix this, because we're going to resolve this before they go into main phase, so they're not going to be able to Lingaribo stop this thing. They may go into Lingaribo in an attempt to stop some of our like Apophis cards, but that's about it, right? Like, and then DDG is here for Fiendsmith variants, and D-Berry is here for Ryzeal. Other than that, we aren't playing Defense of the Temple. Like, we're not. I did mess up the line with Man with the Mark, because basically if you open Man with the Mark plus Field Spell, you just search Circuit, and Circuit gets you Temple of the Kings. You don't have to search Temple of the Kings with Man with the Mark, and that was another way that I messed up. So I feel like kind of, you know, I made the combos in like a day after the support was revealed, so I knew they weren't going to be perfect, but I didn't realize I butchered them that badly. That being said, Circuit is still the better starter, I think, like Circuit plus one of your treasures or Temple, but yeah, it's definitely not giving. And you definitely don't need to play 2 Temple, because Anubis can put it back, Circuit can search it, Man can search it, so you definitely don't need 2 Temple. Like, after your first turn, I think it's okay if Temple gets removed from the game. Maybe for some grind game scenarios, you need a second one, but the only reason you're playing 2 is because it does help you push as well as it helps you set up your combo. Because like you can push with something like Circuit to like clear your opponent's board. Evenly is here because Evenly helps us break boards down. I figured it's a better board breaker than Lightning Storm Feather Duster, just because what are you Lightning Storming? Detonator? Like what's that gonna do, you know? I mean, sure, it might trigger or it might force him to play into a tactics, but that's about it. Like, it's not gonna do much. Ultimate Slayer here because it's really good against you know, Exceed decks and such. And then Metatronus, I was playing a little riskier. I wasn't playing the Detonator before the, you know, when I was playing these lines, but I definitely should have been. So with all that being said, let's just get into these replays. So very first duel, right? Kind of on brand for Odion. I didn't draw shit. So I pass turn, and then I hit him with Pure Ryzeal on standby. Because I have like 3+ non-engine. I Astra Prosp. They talents put back my Imperm, which I'm like, okay. And then they just don't commit to anything because why would they? I draw Nib for turn. I set 1 pass. They probably know what the set is, and they're still not drawing anything. So I open Anubis. Hopefully it resolves. And it does. Okay. Now we go man. Man grab treasures. Treasure's gonna set us Serpent. Treasure's gonna grab a Circuit. We're gonna banish the Nibiru, summon out the Circuit, right? And I didn't do that in the last video either. I was banishing Anubis. And it's okay to banish Anubis still. Like, if you don't play Nib, like, I saw a pack playing a version of this deck that didn't use Nibiru because he was playing Beansmith. And I'm like, you know, yeah, it is still okay to banish Nibiru because now you're only playing 1 copy of it. So you're only going to need to banish once. So if you banish 1 of your 3 Anubises, it's not that big of a deal. So now Circus going to add Temple. Resolve Temple. Resolve Serpent. And at this point, we're going to activate Swamp Deity and hit for the most damage possible. I didn't want to play into Nibiru before, before battle phase. I wanted to get all the damage out so that if he does nib me, it won't feel as bad, right? So we're gonna go for Divine Serpent and no nib on summon. So I mean, never punished, right? Oh wait, no, it wasn't nib on summon. It was Serpent that activated, not the fusion. So we did do well playing around the nib. So he goes Kashtira, right? He goes into Lizard Dose here to reduce the attack of the token, which I think cool, right? And then surrendered, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have anything else. I'm not too sure. So now we're going game 2, right? Purge, Field Spell, Swamp Deity. And they hit me with the Slickest Shifter. So now, holding my Purge, because if I activate Purge here, then I won't have the trap card in graveyard for treasures, but is what it is, right? So he goes Unicorn. I hit him with the Purge because I might as well. He goes sets 1, pass. I draw Serpent for turn, which I'm feeling pretty good, right? Because now it's like, okay, with the 1 back row, I doubt it's something that interacts with Field Spell. So I activate it, grab treasures. Treasures set Serpent. And then I'm going to grab Circuit here. So I banish Summon. And yeah, his effect is during damage step. So he imperms me, right? Which I'm like, fuck. Okay, that was probably a good imperm. So I crash, I take like 200, and then I set 3 and I pass. So start a turn, I go for Serpent, and thankfully these are not monsters, so Kashtiras cannot interact with these. And why is it a Glider Beast card? It's always a Glider Beast card. It's a pop. I set Apotheosis Swamp Deity. So he tries to Unicorn, I Veiler him now that Shifter's no longer live. He goes Terraforming, I chain my Swamp Deity to negate his Terraforming on Resolution, and even if Unicorn was negated, this is still not a monster effect, so he just surrenders here. Yeah, I guess he figured he can't really break through the board because he only gets one attack and probably has nothing else to grab, or has nothing else in hand because I negated both his searchers. So we lose Direwolf here, and then I end up facing up against Runick, right? Playing Odion is kind of interesting because it's like, I don't really play control decks all that much, right? Like, it's definitely more of like a mid-range deck that leans more on the control side. It's like close to stun without being stun because of how many trap cards we're playing. Alright, so he hits me with the TC Boo, which doesn't really affect my deck. He hits me with the Messenger of Peace, which I guess doesn't affect my deck either. So next, I go Anubis/Judge. He goes Golden Droplet, banish the top 4 cards of their deck, right? Yeah, so he did the effect to banish. So he hit like 1 Swamp Deity, but that's fine, right? So he gets Fountain for 2. I activate Treasures, he goes Smiting Storm. And I don't know why he does this here. Like, he could have saved this. Like, I'm definitely going to put more cards on field. You don't have to be trigger happy about it. So he banishes a Imperm. Like, literally just 1 card. Like, I don't know why you would do that. But let him do what he's going to do. I want to see if I can get rid of some of this stuff on field, though. I go Temple to summon out the Serpent. Set Swamp Deity, normal summon Man the Mark, and he hits it basically with the Runick version of Imperm, and then he banishes the top 3 cards in my deck, so hits Perulia, and he's hitting a lot of my non-engine, like other than Small World, this is like mostly non-engine shit. So now I banish Summon Circuit. I probably should have went for Time Thief Redoer here. That would have been a good play, I think, but yeah. I'm gonna grab another Treasures because there's nothing else I can really do. I go Gallant Granite. I definitely think Redoer would have been a better card. But yeah, I guess the issue with Redoer is that it only puts the cards at the top of the deck and actually doesn't get rid of them. So I guess Granite was fine here, actually. So we're gonna Granite search the Heavenly Prison. We're gonna Heavenly Prison reveal, right? So now, like next turn, he'll be able to set like the Verdict of Anubis. And then we're gonna link off into Silhouette. Silhouette's gonna set Anguish Pattern. We're gonna set 2, right? We're gonna set the Apophis, and we're gonna set the Imperm. And yeah, that'll be our turn. And now, draw phase, we're gonna activate Anguish Pattern. This is gonna trigger Silhouette, and it's gonna trigger Lord as well. So I Silhouette in an attempt to go hit the TC Boo. And he hits me with the Flashing Fire, which is what it is, right? He decides not to keep his Messenger of Peace on field. So then he goes D-Fissure. I'm gonna chain the Embodiment. Just so I can get Anguish to pop that D-Fissure. And we just go into this crazy ass fucking chain link, right? So chain link 2, I go Heavenly Prison, right? Because Apophis was activated, so it's like chain link 1 Anguish and chain link 2 Heavenly Prison because these are our triggers. So he decides to go for Slumber, which just to banish 3. I mean, I'm on 17 cards left in deck. I mean, I think banishing the 3 could be very significant. Funnily enough, he still hasn't hit my Verdict of Anubis, so that's what I'm gonna try to be going for. Well, then I go Swamp Deity on his Runick Slumber because I don't want to banish cards from the top of my deck. Then he goes Freezing Curses on my Anguish Pattern, so that Anguish Pattern isn't popping. And Anguish Pattern doesn't target. Actually, no, it does target. Who did he target? Who did Anguish Pattern target? Oh, it targeted Runick Fountain. Yeah, it targeted Runick Fountain with its effect. So he's doing this to protect his Fountain, and I don't think there's any other cards that can be activated in this chain. once this Swamp Deity resolves, right? So since Anguish Pattern isn't going to resolve, I'm still just going to hit Fountain with the Swamp Deity so that he can no longer draw nor activate Runick Quick Play spells from hand, and I can just go for game. Oh, he did the fusion effect. Okay. Oh yeah, because he can't target Anguish Pattern because Anguish Pattern can't be targeted while I control another trap card. So that's why I went Embodiment so early. And that's something I forgot about, right? So he banished Serpent, Veiler, Perulia, right? More non-engine. The Serpent might hurt, but I have one in Graveyard and I can just summon it. All right. So Hugin here actually didn't do anything because I was able to Swamp Deity, negate the Hugin before Hugin would have had a chance to resolve in Chainlink 1 with Anguish Pattern. And now, Lord of the Heavy Prison, I had like 14 cards left in deck and I was still able to set the Verdict of Anubis. Basically just throwing the game completely in my favor. There's like nothing he can summon in this scenario that like gets him the game, because like that's just kind of crazy, right? So it's kind of weird knowing what, or trying to figure out what to side against Runick, especially when like half my deck is like monster or like front heavy. Like Nib is a front heavy card, but like I want to keep it in just in case I need to banish for circuit, but it also doesn't really have much utility staying in, so it's just a weird card. But yeah, so he's gonna start with Fountain. He's gonna go Smiting Storm to bring out Reki, which weird choice, but okay. Then he goes Fountain for 1. I could have drolled him here, but I didn't feel like it. I think I also could have purged him on that, but it just didn't feel right at the time, so I decided not to. So he sets to pass. He goes in match, which doesn't really hurt me because all my engine monsters are Earth, so that's not a big deal for me. So I just set for Imperm Column on the Unknown. I don't care about the Gozen, so that's not important to me. And then, yeah, starting next turn, I can start playing around with the Serpents and doing a little more. So he attempts to activate Simultaneous Equation Cannon. Now, this is insane, right? Like, assuming that he has the numbers, like assuming he has the math down packed, because you have to assume if someone uses a card like this on a simulator, they know exactly what they're doing and exactly when they're able to get the full effect. Although he wouldn't have been able to banish all cards on the field. Now that I'm reading this card, because I didn't want to take too long in time, but now that I'm reading this card, because I didn't have a face-up monster, and he did this Chainlink 2 when my Apophis was Chainlink 1, I would not have a face-up monster on the field by the time this resolved, meaning this was not going to resolve anyway, or it wasn't going to banish all cards I control anyway. But just in case it did, right, like just in case he sequenced it correctly, I don't know why he would just instantly pop this off against Apophis, but sure. Let's just assume that he sequenced it correctly and he did it after Apophis was summoned. He would have been able to resolve the second effect. But if he would have waited until after Apophis was summoned, I would have been able to resolve a Swamp Deity. So I guess maybe it's correct. But if I go Swamp Deity, I'm only negating one card on field. So it's like, if you could threaten the Swamp Deity with something, then I guess maybe that could work too. Right. So thankfully, because Freky's on field, I was able to negate his Equation Cannon, whatever he was planning to do with it, and then set a Swamp Deity here. So now I have 2 more interruptions, or 2 more set traps that I can go for. So he goes Pot of Duality. I'm gonna hit it with, oh shit. I didn't even need to hit it with Purge because it's in the fucking Imperm column. I did not need to hit that with Purge, but I did anyway. Assuming he played that correctly, right? Because that was a very dumb mistake, but assuming he played that correctly, I still would purge that. So now, draw for turn. I'm gonna go into main phase, right? Like, if he has nothing until then I just go into main phase. I go Swamp Deity, Chain Serpent, So that way Swamp Deity can negate 2 things, and I'm probably going to negate the Fissure plus the Fountain. Yes. So this way, I can go for Divine Serpent, get my search, and then Swamp Deity can banish the lasting, Divine Serpent reset the 2. Oh, well, pop the field spell first, and then link off into Link Spider, and then reset. And then probably go for something like, I don't know, access code or something. But yeah, that was definitely game. So now it looks like I'm going first. I'm on the die roll. I open Anubis plus Temple. That's full combo. So assuming I don't get drolled. Right? No droll, no Ash, no Imperm, no Veiler. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. So we go Treasures. Grab Circuit. I had to go mana add Treasures because if I didn't, then I wouldn't be able to get the Serpent here. We go Temple of the Kings, we go Serpent. Overlay for Gallant Granite. Gallant Granite, grab the Heavenly Prison reveal. Banish out the Nib, summon out Merciless Scorpion. Scorpion effect's gonna grab me another Treasures for follow-up. Link off into Silo Hat, get the Anguish pattern, and then we're gonna set 2 pass. And they go Afterburner like main phase 1, and I was like, is it worth it to hit this with Swamp Deity? And I was thinking no, it probably isn't, because I don't really care about Silo Hat that much. So then I go Anguish pattern here, so that I can resolve my Heavenly Prison, and then set the Verdict of Anubis. He goes Rose into Hayate. I wanted to be very careful because I didn't want this to be something that, like, he was able to just start, like, gaining more card advantage because I sequenced this wrong, so I kind of just let it go. Because I don't want Rose to come back just because I pop this thing, right? So I effect Veiler it so that he can't get the mill. And they just scoop. Which is kind of crazy. Alright, so continuing on, sided, so I put Ultimate Slayer in because I figured Sky Striker, right? If they leave like one of their stupid links on field, I can just put it back, you know? They sided and then made me go first with the Trap Monster deck, assuming I would side in too many go second cards, or maybe their whole game plan is to go second. I don't know. Go Nib into Veiler into Anubis because Veiler and Anubis both have 0 defense. So that's actually a real bridge. Now, do I get heavily punished by Droll? Yes, but that's not my biggest concern because I still have like some plays through Droll. So no Droll here, so we go Anubis, grab Man. Go Treasures, set 1, go Man, add the Verdict, set another, activate, grab Circuit, banish Anubis. Oh, I guess I did take out most of my Nibirus. I only kept 1 Nibiru and I hard drew it, so I banished it for Small World, and I had to banish one of my Anubises for Circuit. But that's fine, as I said earlier. It's fine if you banish 1, because you only play 1, so it's not like you're hurting your grind game that bad. So now we get to go for Temple, go for Apophis, Gallant Granite, Solid 4 summons, the Lord of the Heavenly Prison LZ. So Apophis gets to add the embodiment. So Heavenly Prison, reveal in hand, and link off for Silo Hat. Get Anguish pattern, and we're going to set the Purge as our last card. And this is pretty hefty. Now, when you already have access to Verdict, it's like, what's the best thing that Lord can grab you that's not a side deck card? And it's probably just another Apotheosis Serpent or something, or Dominus Purge, depending on how you want to do it, right? So we go Rhoda, I hit him with the Purge, right? Then we go Lord, set another Serpent, activate the Serpent frame 1. I probably could have waited, because I already had 1 Swamp Deity set up. I don't think I needed 2 of them. But he's probably not going to play into Anguish pattern because this is Sky Striker, so you're going to activate 1 spell or trap card at a time. You're not going to put them all on field at once. So yeah, I think Anguish Pattern may not do much in this matchup. So then I see the weirdest fucking card I've ever seen. Like, I know what this card is. I've seen it in Yu-Gi-Oh before. I just did not expect to see it in this duel. And all it does is just bounce a spell or trap card. And I can't negate it, so I can't do the funny thing with Swamp Deity and like just negate this for the sake of putting a body on field. But that's fine. So Lightning Storm gets activated. I'm gonna go for Swamp Deity here. Just negate it, right? I want to say my verdict for when it's like the most important. So Afterburner. So I thought about, okay, so what if I let the Afterburner resolve versus what if I negate it? Well, if I let the Afterburner resolve, he can hit anything, not just verdict, and then I'd keep Silhouette Rabbit, but I don't care about Silhouette Rabbit. So I don't care about any of my monsters really. Like, if you're only gonna hit one monster, I really don't care that much. But yeah, he went straight for the verdict, which is fine. That's fair. So now he gets to go Hornet Drones, and now he gets to combo off. All right, so he gets to go Hayate, attack directly. He's gonna mill Ray, make Kagari. I don't know why he didn't go mill engage, link Kagari, add engage. I don't know why that wasn't the plan there, because Kagari says, any Sky Striker card from deck to graveyard. For some reason, Ray was his target. Maybe he thought I could still resolve Anguish Pattern and pop a card on field. Maybe that's why he didn't go for engage, but I would have still went for engage because that's fucking crazy that you didn't go for engage, right? So he pops my Heavenly Prison and my Temple of the Kings, which I'm like, fine, that's fair. He goes Shizuku. And then he sets one, and then he searches engage on end phase, which is like, what the fuck's that supposed to do? But I'm gonna let him cook. So first thing I do is I bring back Anubis the Last Judge by putting back 2 of my trap cards, right? So put back Verdict and put back Purge into deck so I can bring back out Anubis. And then we go Ultimate Slayer. We're gonna mill 1 just to bounce the Shizuku. And then we use Temple of the Kings. Add Anubis again. Anubis is gonna drop, add man. Normal summon man effects. Grab Temple. Link it to Link Spider. He goes Book of Eclipse. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Probably should have resolved this Temple of the Kings before I kept going, but that's fine. That's perfectly fair. So now I go Temple of the Kings. Link off into Silhouette. And then just like set everything else. And oh yeah, Anubis can come back too. So Anubis comes back and I resolve Embodiment here since I didn't use my Temple of the Kings effect yet. So hit him for 6100. And then end phase, you know, my sets get flipped up. I draw 2 cards. A lot of good non-engine stuff here. Go for Swamp Deity on the engage, and that's the game. Okay, so going into the next one, it looks like I hard open the Heavenly Prison, which I think is the best place to be. Also hard open Treasures, and I hard open Small World as well. So I think I'm in a pretty good scenario. So they go Droll on me here, which I'm not too mad about because I already have my trap set up. I have a Veiler here, and I already have Lord as well. So I go Lord to get treasures. Then I go Heavenly Prison to reveal. So then I learned that I'm facing against Ryzeal, which would have been really good if I would have been able to resolve this Perulia against it. Maybe I already had man on field, so it's not like committing to the board would have been terrible, but yeah, it's definitely an oversight on my part. So he goes Aggregator, target my Serpent, so I'm going to chain Swamp Deity before Serpent gets removed from the field, because if it gets negated as a trap card, it goes back into the Spell and Trap Zone face up as a continuous trap. And once your continuous trap is like this, it just can't do anything. So then he goes Bonfire for ice. He goes ice, summon out sword. And because I really don't have any other play, he tries to go Exciton Knight. He has the Book of Moon for the Veiler, which is like, ugh, feels bad, man. Now, thankfully, Man of the Mark did come up here because it protects Apophis monsters and Temple of the Kings. So since it's treated as Temple of the Kings, it protected himself, Apophis monsters, and Temple of the Kings. So now he goes Ash on my attempt to search follow-up, which I don't think was correct, but I guess at this point it doesn't matter. He goes Ryzeal Cross to draw 1. He gets Node Ryzeal, and he gets to send 1 summon ice. So the fact that the draw 1 came up is actually kind of crazy. Goes to Detonator. Detonator swing. Hit me for... Why didn't I take damage? Did he activate something? So, oh, wait. Exciton Knight, right? Yeah. So I don't take damage because of Exciton. Now this is a very awkward situation to be in. Since I knew this cannot be destroyed by card effects, I decided to pop it off first, since I knew he'd probably wasted Detonator pop on it. So now he goes Aggregator on my Man with the Mark. Now what I should have did is I should have went Link Spider into SP on this Detonator, and that would have probably solved the game. Because now I could have went like Last Judge, Temple. But now, like, because I didn't do that, I'm in an even weirder situation. Instead I go Typhon. Oh. This was a terrible play. Terrible, and I'll tell you why, right? Anubis the Last Judge is 3,000 attack. So now I can't search my follow-up because I fucked up this hard. This is a terrible play. Do not copy this. I could have went Link Spider into SP. Remember that. I could have went Link Spider into SP Little Knight, because whatever the fuck this is right here is not the fucking vibe. And then went Anubis, searched Man, normal summon Man, but I was not thinking things through here. So Typhon lost to the fucking cross negate, and now I had nothing, like literally nothing else I could do this turn. So I literally just had to end turn. So if I would have went SP here, I probably could have set it up so that I was in a winning position to where he wouldn't have been able to resolve cross. He wouldn't have been able to, like, Detonator would have been off the field. If he would have cross-negated SP, then I would have been able to Anubis send, grab another Man, and then combo off of Man. So the cross-negate would not even have come up into the SP Little Knight. So that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I definitely, I fucked up so bad here. So you just get to see him combo off. And then he makes like Star Liege so that his other Exceeds can't be targeted. And then I drew no other engine, so I attempt to go Anubis. And I just get sacked because, I mean, even though I could bring Anubis back by shuffling back some of my engine, he just pops my Temple of the Kings, and I finally get to resolve Anubis's like hidden effect. It's like Rescue Ace Turbulence, where, you know, set spell and drop rate you control, destroy by, or if a spell and drop rate you control is destroyed by card effect, target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. I was able to activate that effect, but because I'm turn player, it's Chainlink 1, Aggregator Chainlink 2, I just lose to the Aggregator. So I normal summon Berulia. Really wish I could have fucking played this better. And then Silo Hat here. And then I go set the Serpent. And then because of Star Liege, or was it Star Liege? Oh no, is it because of Detonator? Oh yeah, it's because of Silo Hat Rabbit. Oh, whoever he attacks can't be destroyed by battle. So basically this very weird grind game state was created Like, this dude tribute summoned Nib and went into a second detonator. And I was almost thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. He has 5 cards left in extra deck. If I can just fucking hold out this second detonator, there's a chance. There's a chance I could play through it. But yeah, I would need to also play through the Eclipse Twins, which just wasn't going to happen in a realistic scenario. So bring out Anubis. And then, yeah, like, Detonator protects Starly is just so fucking stupid. And then try to go SP, banish. And then, yeah, he just targets both my sets. I should not have set these preemptively. And then, because of Eclipse Twins, he gets to bring back his other Detonator. And, yeah, at this point, I just scooped. There's nothing left in my extra deck. I don't... This would have been a good point to make the Typhon right here. I should have made SP a lot earlier in the game. Feels bad, man. So now continuing on, I'm going first, right? So I set the Serpent. I get impermed on the man, which kind of just is what it is. Can't do anything else. So I go Serpent to set the Swamp Deity. So he goes X. Mirror Logic negates my man. And I hit him with the Droll, right? So now I'm not worried about any other bullshit. He goes Excites on Night. I hit him with the Swamp Deity. For some reason, he tries to activate it again. He goes Node, Send, Summon back Sword. I just go Nib for the entire field. So I try to go Treasures here, right? So I go Anubis, search man, and yeah, opponent just surrenders because I can just pop off here. So now, look at my hand, man. I fucking, this game. Okay, so we go Bonfire for Ice. Can't interact with that, right? He goes X'd, grabs Node, he goes Sword, grabs Ice. He goes Ice, he goes Sword. Now this is really weird to me because I'm like, why are you playing so hard into Nib? But he goes Star Leash, then he goes Duo Drive, and I wait until he resolves Duo Drive to attempt to Nib him. So now he goes Talents, looks at my hand, and he puts back the Apophis, which is a really good choice. Now I don't draw anything, so I just go Typhon, bounce, swing for 2900 pass. I set 2, right? So he doesn't know I have this imperm, so he probably thinks I have double Metatronus set. So I go Ice, so he goes Ice. I'm assuming he had nothing else because I'm surprised he didn't summon out Node last turn in an attempt to at least make a detonator, but I think he got scared off by the Metatronus. I think that's what happened. He saw that I had Metatronus and that scared the shit out of him, so he decided not to go into the detonator. And yeah, I definitely, like, I don't know, I definitely used this imperm too early. I should have saved it for this Duo Drive. And yeah, I just don't have any Metatronus target for a Duo Drive, so. He goes cross, you know, draw. X can negate Typhon, so now Detonator gets, you know, free chicken. And, you know, this was, I know you guys saw the deck profile at the beginning. This was before I put Detonator in the extra deck. So now it's 100 attack off because my current target is Full Armor Photon, right? Or Galaxy Eyes Tachyon, because it's a light with 3k attack. And the fact that it's 100 off means I can't summon this. Now, that being said, in this particular scenario, I would have wanted Detonator in the extra deck because that way I could banish the Detonator and just like get rid of it altogether. Yeah, because I didn't have Detonator in my extra deck, it's just rough. So now he gets to swing over Typhon, swing over that. And I can't even resolve evenly. I drew Circuit. I can't do anything. This is just game. Like I don't even need to, like there's just nothing for me to do because I wasn't playing the right targets. So now next one, when the die rolls, Star Man, Temple of the Kings. I could small world into something here, I think, but I decided not to because just to not play into Droll. So, right, set 1, set 2. So we go circuit here. Circuit, grab temple. Now we're gonna get the full Heavenly Prison line here. And yeah, we get to grab the next Apophis as well. Go Silo Hat, set Anguish. Go Anubis. Set and then pass. And then it's like Despia, which is crazy, right? So he goes Aluber, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna Swamp Deity this. And then I go, and then he goes like Super Poly to get rid of my Silo Hat, which I don't even care about if you're getting rid of Silo Hat. I'm just like genuinely surprised that like someone would Super Poly on that. But, you know, it makes sense. And also kind of sucked because I was gonna chain another, like I was gonna chain Anguish Pattern to it, right? So that Anguish Pattern would be summoned first, and then Swamp Deity, so that, you know, you get the pop and the negate if you sequence it that way. So if you do Swamp Deity first and then Anguish Pattern second, then you get a pop and negate. Whereas if you do it the other way around, you get neither. So that's kind of funny. So he's still able to search his Brand Diffusion. So I'm going to take some damage for attempting to resolve some cards now. So I'm attempting to resolve Heavenly, attempting to resolve Anguish Pattern, so I take 1200. So now I'm going to grab it and set the Verdict. And then he goes into another Super Polymerization. This nigga's cracked out on all those Super Polys. And then I guess like the one Copium Brand Infusion. We're going to hit him with the Verdict. Pop the Dragocepalia, and he takes half the attack points of the monster he controlled, so that's 1350. So we're gonna go for Embodiment, and then the Anguish Pattern is gonna pop his last set. Oh, okay, so he just surrendered here. Yeah, he had nothing left on field. So we get game 2. For some reason, I don't know if this is a new set or if they're just making me go first. But yeah, okay. Drew Temple with an extra set, so able to go grab Anubis, grab Man, and then grab Temple. I'm gonna be real. Actually, yeah, I think you do grab Temple there. I was gonna say maybe I grab Verdict here, but then if I don't grab Temple, then Lord of Heavy Person doesn't do anything. So yeah, I get to turn these two into Time Thief Redoer, and then I get to reveal Heavenly Person. And on standby phase, I take his card, and it's a Fabled Lurry. Okay, so we're playing a different person now. So they start with their 7th Ascension, which I just chain Anguish Pattern just so it's live, and so I can get my Heavenly Person going off. And then they do their Tachyon. In theory, I should just let them do their Tachyon because they go -1 in hand. And then I get to see what they're playing too. So then they go X'd with the Aggregator, which is kind of rough because it's a really good play into Anguish Pattern if you don't already have another counter continuous trap set up. Now, for some reason, he goes Aggregator, target the Temple, which, I mean, it makes sense. Now I can't use Verdict, but, you know, I feel like you could have played that better, I think. So he goes Sword, Search, X'd. So then he goes straight into Detonator. So he goes Ice. I chain Veiler. He chains Detonator. I chain Swamp Deity. He chains Detonator again to pop the Swamp Deity. And he also pops the Anguish Pattern. So then he has to go for another Ice. Then he summons out his Duo Drive. At which point I hit him with a Redoer, which I don't know what he was expecting to get off this plugin, but I guess is what it is, right? So now, before the end of main phase, I try to nib him. He had some good cross out. I'm like, fair enough. It's with 3K. surprisingly doesn't go into Eclipse Twins. I figured that might be the best course of action, because leaving a detonator with no materials on their field is definitely not correct, I don't think. So now I steal a card from the top of his deck. It's a spell card, which is pretty crazy. So now Temple of the Kings is going to grab Circuit. Now I go into Anubis, and, you know, he pretty much doesn't have anything to play here, so go Man, the treasures, set another Apophis, and yeah, that's the game from there. Our final game for the turn, he goes Bonfire, I hit him with the Droll, and he just scoops. My hand is near unplayable, he just scoops on the Droll, which is crazy. Maybe he had nothing but Searchers in his hand. He should have at least let me see what I draw for turn, because I don't know why you would just scoop there. But it is a funny scoop to draw. So yeah, I've been testing this deck for regionals, and I'm liking where it's going. Probably gonna take out the Metaltronuses and try to see what else I can fit in this extra deck. I've yet to test this deck against Blue Eyes. That may be something that I do in the future. And for Ultimate Slayer, you may see that I don't really have, like, I only have targets for Synchro and Exceed. I don't have Link or fusion targets. The reason why I don't have a fusion target, because I'm like, what fusion am I going to be targeting with Ultimate Slayer? Because Desiree can't be targeted if it has sequence equipped. I'm almost never going to resolve it on fusion, at least not in this format. So I figured it's like I have double Apophis. Like, it's really rare that you make the second one, so I figured I could just send one of these. Ultimate Slayer, yeah, you almost never make the second Silo Hat either. It's pretty rare. Like, it needs to be a really tough grind game for you to make the second one, so you can send one of those. Bulos could go pretty well in here. Maybe like Thrust and Talents could go hard in here as well. Maybe cutting down on some of the trap monster names. Apophis seems completely unnecessary, if I'm being real. I do like that it's searchable, but Embodiment just seems unnecessary. But it is good to pull off, like maybe if you get hand trapped or something. So if you're able to go like Silo Hat or something, you can keep playing. Like, the deck's pretty strong. I'm just a little scared of going to Ryzeal going second. Like, if I'm not drawing non-engine, I'm basically just scooping the game. I wonder if the small world is even worth it if I don't open non-engine. Like, if I'm not opening enough non-engine, like maybe playing small world in the deck is not going to help me with that. So yeah, I mean, Droll put in a lot of work, Purge put in a decent amount of work, didn't get to resolve evenly. Metaltronus I'm not as happy about. Yeah, you definitely need an exact target of the card that you're going to send with this. If you have this card, maybe you consider playing the Malice Link 3, either Whitebinder or the Hearts Encryptor, and you definitely need to just banish Detonator. Ultimate Slayer, at least, it's like you can kind of pick and choose. I was thinking about Dark Ruler, but I'm not too sure. Salesman as well for the detonators, but regional is like tomorrow by the time I'm recording this, so I don't know. I know I'm gonna place a lot of Ryzeal, but I don't know which particular tech card would be the most effective into Ryzeal with my engine, so it's gonna be a tough nut for me to crack, but I'm sure I'll be able to crack it. It's been your boy Nistro here. I know Odion, or some people have been looking at like Argo Stars and other decks like that, or other archetypes like that, and although I'm not the biggest fan, I definitely can see some synergy between the decks, even if it just feels like Odion's pulling all the weight and Argo Stars kind of just like, yeah, like other than the field spell, Argo Star doesn't feel like it does much by itself. So this regional I'm going to is basically going to be my last hurrah until like Duelist Advance, or no, not Duelist Advance, Alliance Insight. So I'm not going to be going to events for like 2 months due to work and stuff. So yeah, hopefully, you know, I get decent results with this deck. It's still a brand new deck, but you know, seeing myself like playing it and then and then like going over my replays and then seeing what I did wrong has been very enlightening. And I know not everybody does this, but I think going over your replays in Yu-Gi-Oh is also something that you should be doing if you want to like get the maximum competitive like insight as to how to deal with certain situations. And it's almost like playing duel puzzles like back in the day, right? Like you would go into a duel puzzle, you'll look at the scenario and you'll try something because that's your first line of thinking. That's like, okay, what if I do this? And then that thing just doesn't work, right? So it's better that you iron that out while you're still in a learning environment, or in an environment where there's no risk involved, versus doing that line or first seeing that line at some kind of large event to where the stakes are a lot higher. I mean, it's Yu-Gi-Oh, so it's not that high. I'm sure you guys get the point, right? So looking over your replays does help a lot. to help you improve. And all right, see ya.